Okay, I'd like to call to order the Concord Township Council meeting for November 4th, 2020. First item on the agenda is the fill the vacancy on County Council with an appointment. I will turn it over to Mr. Gillespie, please.
Thank you. As the public may or may not know, we had a resignation last month by Peter Pagano, councilman. And at the conclusion of the meeting, I had asked our solicitor, what must we do as a council? And I'll read from the minutes. The council must appoint a successor within 30 days of the council member's resignation. The clock would start October 7th, 2020. The successor must have resided in the township for at least 2 years prior to the appointment. So we did have interviews for that position, and I would like to make the announcement that our choice was Colleen Marone. And just a few brief remarks. I had served with Colleen for a total of 13 years, 5 years on the Planning Commission and 8 years on the then Board of Supervisors. So I'm very honored to make that motion to appoint Colleen Marone of 1 Thomas Drive, Garnet Valley, as a council person.
Okay, and Colleen meets all the criteria, living with the township for 2 years and so on, so the record would reflect same. I would proudly like to second that motion. I think I was here when we appointed Colleen to the Planning Commission, so I guess it's my fault, Colleen. But anyway, I would second that motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think the customary now to administer the oath of office, we have our District Justice, Wendy Roberts. Wendy, I guess the best thing would be to come up here, and we'll pick a spot somewhere. Would right in front of here, from our tech guys, would be seen on camera. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you want to come right over here, guys, just in front of me. I can put this one up here if you like.
You have to catch my breath. Thank you. Bible.
I'd like to add to the record that our photographer tonight is Mr. Barbado, a member of our zoning board.
Hold on, I'm coming too.
Joe, I think you have the camera on.
The short version. Right hand. You're going to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Colleen Marone, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth. I will discharge the duties of my office as Concord Township Councilperson with fidelity. Congratulations.
All the way down at the end, long walk. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Wendy, just as a point of information, I understand that the district justices are only hearing criminal at this time, none of the civil work.
So we are hearing criminal. We're hearing criminal cases, and we're all traveling to the city of Chester for those. We started hearing civil about 3 weeks ago, and traffic will wait until next year. Landlord-tenant will hear civil, and truancy, I think we're going to start doing.
I'm assuming you have quite a backlog of civil, I would think.
So it's not moving quickly, and in order to give people enough notice, there's a little bit of a backlog, yeah.
Okay, well, I apologize to my colleagues for taking time out of the agenda, but we don't often get a district justice to ask questions. Sometimes we are also asked, when we cite residents for violations of the zoning ordinance, how come nothing is happening? And I think it's because the court's hands are tied because they're not acting on anything.
So we are still under a state of emergency, and do not have approval to list that type of thing.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. Okay, let's start. Call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which anyone is recording the meeting, we ask that you say so now, not in an attempt to not have you record the meeting, just so that it doesn't interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Seeing none, we will proceed. First item on the agenda is the approval of the public meeting minutes for October 6th. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to announce my abstention since I was not in attendance at that meeting.
Okay, let the record reflect that Ms. Marone has abstained. Second item on the agenda is the total expenditures for the month, totaling $927,151.35, made up of an October payroll of $139,834.23, current bills totaling $575,587.83, and current sewer bills totaling $211,729.29. Do I have a motion to approve those expenditures?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Under the next item, we have...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like to also announce my abstention from the bills list.
Okay, so noted. Next item on the agenda is recognition. I would like, instead of appointment, I think it's more of an introduction. We hired a new Director of Public Works, Dan Moyer, who came to us from Aston Township. He was on the staff there. Maybe why don't you just get up at the microphone, tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Dan Moyer. I'm a Chester Heights resident. I was with Aston Public Works for 23 years. I run a successful business of 12 plus years in the landscaping world. Kids have now grown a little older. They are in the Garnet Valley School District, and it was just time in my life to sort of make a change, and everything kind of came together, and I think it's going to be a great fit for both township and myself.
Okay. Thank you for coming in. If anybody, Amanda, I gave him already a job to do, and that the clock needs to be reset to the right hour.
And you should officially appoint him.
Okay, so we would need a motion to appoint.
So moved, Mr. President.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Monthly activity reports. Pennsylvania State Police, I do not see them here. Sewer Department, Mr. Gillespie.
Yes, I have a brief report, the monthly activity report from Terry Grant, our Assistant Manager. Both the main plant and Riviera plant continue to meet discharge requirements within the parameters of the NPDES permit. The operations staff performed seven lateral inspections, as required for resale certification during the month of October. And finally, the bidding will take place in November for both the Smithbridge Estates Sewer Project and the Beaver Valley Sewer Extension, with plans for completion in 2021. End of report.
Thank you. Code Enforcement Zoning Officer, Mano, I do not see him here, but his memo is in the file. Make that part of the record, please. Next would be Planning Commission, Mr. Juleson. How you been, Rich?
Good, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of council, attendees, I'm pleased to present Planning Commission activities for October 2020. First project is David McGrath, the final minor subdivision, 351 Concord Road. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the subdivision in compliance with the following review letters and conditions therein. The Township's consulting engineer, Pannoni, letter dated September 11, 2020. The Concord Township Fire Marshal review email of August 11, 2020. Concord Township Sewer Enforcement Officer memorandum dated November 16, 2018. The Delaware County Planning Commission letter dated August 21, 2020. Buckeye Partners LP, later dated January 18, 2019, instructing a Buckeye inspector to be present and on site for all work in or around the pipeline right-of-way. Final plans are to be submitted in electronic format suitable to the township engineer, and the recording of the access maintenance agreement. Any issues related to that have been resolved recently and acceptable to all parties. Chick-fil-A, preliminary land development application 220 20 South, 20 State Farm Drive, Ms. Trivedi announced the applicant has submitted a withdrawal. Fred Cordone, 136 and 150 Matson Road. Mr. Lawler announced that the applicant has been granted a 90-day extension to February 17th, 2021. Schedule for the month, the agenda meeting will be held November 9th, 2020. The public meeting will be held November 16th, 2020. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Next, the solicitor, Mr. Donahue, is not here. Tyler, you're going to cover for him, please?
Good evening, Council. First, let me explain why I'm here tonight on behalf of Mr. Donahue. He has been discovered that he was present with someone who has tested positive with COVID. Although he feels fine, he's exhibiting no symptoms. One caution, chose to send me here today and watch via video. Also, Council, a few weeks ago, Manos Cavadias received an email from Mr. Goebel, which laid out a series of 6 questions and 20 subparts. I'm just going to let Mr. Goebel know that we will be responding to his inquiries by the December public meeting. Also, is Mr. Cleary here tonight? Is Mr. Cleary here tonight? No. Members of council, as you know, Mr. Cleary has sent a number of emails to your attention regarding 139 Schoolhouse Lane. I'd like to just go, as has been explained to members of council and Mr. Cleary a number of times, I'd like to go through the history of that property, just so you know that we have addressed his concerns. The property is identified on the Concord Township Historical Resources Map as part of resource number 187. For those of you unfamiliar, this is the property out of which Moore Construction currently operates, and the Capelli family ran various business operations over the years. In the late 1990s, there was litigation involving one or more of the adjacent neighbors objecting to the commercial use of the property. This litigation made its way to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. In June of 1999, Judge Doyle, in an unreported opinion, issued an order which, among other things, addressed the commercial use of the property by enjoining commercial activity unless and until permitted under the ordinances of Concord Township and applicable zoning law. In response to Judge Doyle's opinion, the Capellis hired counsel to approach the township to amend the zoning code to expressly permit continued commercial use of the property. The result of that was the adoption of Township of Concord Ordinance number 265, dated December 4th of 2001, which amended the conditional use provisions of section 210-183.7a of the Township Code to permit Class 1 and Class 2 historic resource dwelling, barn, outbuilding, or other building as defined on the historic resource map to continue any use in existence for a continuous period of not less than 25 years. Because the commercial use at 139 Schoolhouse Lane has been in place for a period well in excess of 25 years, and the continued use of such resources was added as a part of the conditional use provisions of the Township Zoning Code, the commercial use has become a legally permitted use at 139 Schoolhouse Lane. That is the end of my report.
Wow. Good see.
Did Dan do that? No, okay. Township Engineer, Nate Klein.
Good evening, if you can hear me okay there.
We can.
Good. A few updates. Last month, we awarded the landscaping contract. That work is underway. You might not have seen it now that it's dark out tonight, but the landscaping here at the Township Building has been installed. We've also had the plantings installed at the recent acquisition we call the Corilla Tract at the intersection of Naaman's Creek and Pile Road, as well as improvements to the landscaping at the entrance to the Township Park on Smithbridge Road. The additional work to be completed is the medians of 202. That'll be from approximately the state line to the intersection with Naaman's Creek. We'll be installing landscaping along that whole grass stretch median. That work started today, and they'll be working roughly 9 to 3 in the middle of the day, and it should take maybe 4 to 5 days to get that installed. Second, last month, I don't know if this is on Amanda's discussion items, but we did have our open house at the Public Works Building. We covered 2 significant projects that evening, the Smithbridge Road Corridor project, as well as the Garnet Valley Greenway. Honestly, we did not know what to expect regarding crowds. I think we were pleasantly surprised. We had very good crowds that evening, a lot of good questions. We have several residents we need to reach out to directly to schedule further meetings on. And regarding the Garnet Valley Greenway specifically, we will be probably in the next few days providing the draft report online on the township website as well as here at the front desk. I've got a few more edits to make on that, but otherwise the draft report will be going up shortly, and that'll be on council's agenda for December for adoption, which is required by DCNR in regards to our grant for that project. The last two things, maybe you got stuck in the traffic today like I did, but 322 is being paved today, so that's great to see. They had made some promises that the paving would be completed this year, and that looks like that's happening. So the 322 project, I think, officially is winding down for this phase of it. We have a resolution on the agenda tonight for our 202 Route 1 corridor study that we partnered with Chadds Ford Township and Brandywine Conservancy. Again, we have a report prepared for that we'll be providing online. I don't believe it's online just yet. That was a grant project that we recently completed, speaking to pedestrian accommodations and improvements in those two corridors, really teeing up future projects along those areas from developers and for both municipalities. The last item I have, Dan is new here as of Monday. I've had the pleasant spending both afternoons with Dan already this week, and I'm looking forward to working with him, and got to be honest, he's already crossed two things off my list. So I think we're off to a great start here with Dan, and really looking forward to it. That's all I have.
John has a question, Nate?
The open house that we had at the Public Works Garage, all the exhibits that were on easels, are they on the webpage?
They are. About 3 or 4 days after the meeting, we updated all the information that was on all the easels, as well as the presentation that was being played, have all been updated to the township website.
Yeah, someone was asking me about that, and I said I thought they were, but I would make sure.
It took a few days, but they were all updated.
Thank you.
Nate, I just wanted to comment that I think the landscaping project's looking great. It was the right time of year to do it. And I'd also like to point out that no taxpayer money is being used for that. Those funds came from the tree fund, which is a fund that developers contribute to if and when they can't meet all the landscape requirements on a land development plan. So the enhancements to the 202 corridor, as well as around the campus here and at the Smithbridge Road Park, are being paid for by non-taxpayer dollars, correct?
That is correct, is my understanding. It also includes a year-long warranty and maintenance period, which will be great. So hopefully, again, this will look good going into, well into a year, 2 years from now. And we still have some funds available, and we'll be looking at some additional projects in the future as well.
Okay, thank you. Good. All right. Next, Amanda.
I wanted to start off as well and congratulate Dan. We are very excited to have you aboard, and our early relationship is already off to a great start, and we're looking forward to having you here. So thank you so much for applying, and thank you to council for endorsing Dan for us to have. So it's great. We're really excited. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that on November the 10th, next Tuesday, we are having our budget hearing at 7:00 p.m. And at 6:00 p.m., we're having an ordinance hearing for the new administrative code, which is the final piece to the charter. And once that's done, we'll have a recodification of everything online that'll update everything per the charter. So I'm excited to get that moving and off our list. Additionally, I get asked quite frequently from some folks about property maintenance, and we have that in the finalization mode since our last hearing, and we're hoping to advertise for a hearing at the end of November or at some time early to mid-December. So more to come, pay attention, and we'll have that information released and advertised. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Public comment is the time in the meeting where we will entertain comment or observations regarding anything on the agenda. So if you have any questions or comments outside of being an applicant under new business or other council matters or upcoming events, now would be the time to bring that towards council's attention. We ask that you come forward, identify yourself, give us your street address, and then state your comment. Do we have anybody? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Yodi Gerber. I don't know if this was this on the agenda for later?
Yeah, but this is your time to speak.
Okay, no problem. My wife and I moved to the area in February, and I got to say we really love it. So, we pride ourselves as spreading. There's not really any Jewish organizations in the area. We're really in this township. We're really the first, and we made high holiday services in Concord Township Park. We had a chauffeur in the park. We had a nice showing, as well as for Yom Kippur. It was very nice. We had about 60 people showed up on Rosh Hashanah. It was really a special event, and I think many people in the area really felt. A lot of Jews in the area that I've spoken to personally have felt that this is, an area that although it's really nice, they don't have a lot of Jewish neighbors, and I think a lot of people felt that more at home in their own neighborhood. So that's really nice. And we came up with the idea, something that's been done throughout the entire country. They do it in Washington D.C. in front of the White House, as well as the state capitol, as well as the courthouse and media. They put on for Hanukkah, which is in December. This year starts December 10th. They put up a large menorah outside the local municipality, and the message of Hanukkah is to spread light, not only to ourselves, but to spread it to the outdoors. So we put up large menorahs. We actually, every year, starting last year, we put one up in the Glen Eagle Square for, that private, for their mall, but we wanted to put one up, on the lawn here, something that people passing by on Route 1 can see, and they can really feel the light of Hanukkah, as well as the idea of that that they have a place in this neighborhood, that Hanukkah is celebrated as well. And we'd really love to do it, and I just wanted to get you guys on board.
All right, well, I think we have this as an agenda item later via a resolution, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So we appreciate your comments, and
All right.
we'll act on it accordingly at that time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tyler, I understand you have 2 comments that came in
Yes.
via email.
Dominic,
And,
if-
want to do the longer one first?
Yes, the first comment that was submitted today, or yesterday, excuse me, is from a Jared Mayer of 128 Governor Markham Drive. It reads, wanted to publicly say thank you to Concord Township and specifically Nate Klein and Amanda Sirach for their help with fixing the drainage system on our street that damaged our property. We were one of the homes in the township that were impacted by the heavy rain over the summer due to a failed drainage system on our street. We asked the township to come out and take a look at the damage to confirm what was township responsibility. It did take a few weeks for them to come out, as they were prioritizing other more serious damage from the storms, which we understood. The township confirmed it was their responsibility and worked with its contractors to get it fixed. The fix was completed in October and appears to be working well based on the recent rains. People usually use this public comment forum to complain about what the township is doing or isn't doing. Thought I would provide an example where the township worked for its residents and all it took was a phone call and some patience. Regards, Jared.
Kim, on behalf of council, we'd like to thank him for his comments. Now let's go to the other page.
Second submission was from Joshua Tversky of 1 Cedar Grove Drive. It reads, please read my following public comments into the record verbatim. 1, what happened to the property maintenance ordinance for which there was a hearing held many months ago? 2, since the hearing on the burning ordinance that gives one property owner special privileges to burn every day, would the elected council members, not the no-bid appointed township solicitor who seems to be paid $4,075 per month retainer plus an hourly rate to be their mouthpiece, admit that the ordinance allows for more pollution? 3, why aren't hearings videotapes so there can be transparency of township council business? Seems like you're hiding something for no good reason. You have the technology to easily make this happen. 4, Councilmember Mahoney is married to a township employee. Is he the only council member who has or had a relationship with a township employee?
Thank him for his comments. Moving on with the agenda under new business. First item is resolution number 55 of 2020. Mr. Crossan, I think you have that one?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll go ahead and read this resolution then.
I think just the highlights, or maybe Nate could give us the Cliff Notes version, however you want to handle it. John, it's your baby.
Yeah. I won't read every sub-bullet in here. It's could be a little extensive. As Nate addressed the TCDI Route 1 and Route 202 corridor pedestrian study that was completed. And so whereas the Township of Concord recognizes that the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission provides sound and integrated land use and transportation planning, and whereas the Route 1, Route 202 corridor pedestrian study endorsed as a review process developed by the DRVPC, the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, to assure compliance with municipal, county, regional agencies and policies that meet the goals of the long-range plan called Connections 2040 for the DVRPC. And whereas the study may require the preparation of additional planning documents to ensure implementation as the means by which a municipality assesses the consistency of its existing community vision and planning documents with the Connections 2040 plan. And whereas the Council of Concord Township has obligated the funds provided to them through the TCDI, Transportation and Community Development Initiative, to plan for the sustainable growth of Concord Township, and recommends that the Council approve it for inclusion in the Concord Township Master Plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of Concord Township does hereby accept and endorse the Route 1, Route 202 corridor pedestrian study. Mr. President, I so move.
Okay, it's in the form of a motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, Nate, anything further to add on that, or pretty much what it is, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. We will be uploading the document to the website. It is a shared project with Chadds Ford Township, so we have kind of joint ownership because of the shared nature of 202 and 1. And my hope is this is kind of a little bit of a guiding document for future grant applications, future projects, as well as maybe developers in those areas who come to the table with projects. You know, we can point to these as reasons why we want sidewalks, connections, et cetera.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is Resolution 56 of 2020, McGrath, 351 Concord Road, final minor subdivision. We have that available to go up on the board. I understand council might be here for the applicant. Okay. Yeah, can you enlarge that guy, or? Jamer, you're the project manager? So once the AV guy gets everything ready, it's your baby. There we go. Thank you, Nate.
Mr. Chairman, Town Council, this was a subdivision application, a 2.32 acre lot to be split into 2 lots. It's on Concord Road between Smithbridge and Matson. A pretty standard subdivision application, except there was a private drive known as Overfield Lane that the second lot would have access to on their driveway. And the Planning Commission was concerned about that, the maintenance and upkeep of that private drive. It's my understanding, our recommendation was to approve this subdivision application as long as there was a recording of an access maintenance agreement between the parties and the property owners on that drive. It's my understanding they have reached that agreement, so Planning Commission's recommendation is still to approve this subdivision.
It looks as though there were 2 waivers requested, and you were also in agreement with the 2 waivers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nate, do you have anything to add to this?
No, just briefly, council did approve this prior, so this is just amending that plan. Or do I have that correct, Finn? Right. So this essentially updates that prior approval to recognize the agreement that is put in place with the adjacent property owners, and a waiver to leave the driveway width as is, which I recommend that we grant. They had just recently worked on that driveway, did not want to see that torn up again. For the small number of lots on here, we have no objection to that. And again, I think our credit to Mr. McHugh for pulling together this agreement. I think it kind of solidifies maintenance going forward for all these property owners and makes this go a lot smoother for everybody.
Finton, if you want to come up to the mic and just confirm that, and then I think if my colleagues are ready, we'll probably start a motion for this. Okay, you have a
Sure.
question?
I agree with everything that's been said, and essentially, we just met with the neighbors outside this evening. We had the driveway maintenance agreement signed and notarized, so it's in recordable form. We're going to limit the back lot, so it's, or both lots, so that they're restricted against further subdivision, and otherwise comply with everything that's in Resolution 56-20.
Okay. John, you had a question real quick, you said?
Yes, yeah, I do. Question for Nate and/or the Planning Commission. Comment number 11 talks about easements, driveway easements. I'm concerned about the maintenance of the driveway. Should that be in a maintenance agreement that would be submitted?
What we have tonight is a maintenance agreement that includes the driveway maintenance for all properties.
Okay.
We have that addressed.
Because we've had some issues lately where the responsibility of the easement comes to question.
That's exactly why it took so long to get here.
Cross all the Ts.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all going to be memorialized in the document.
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's take a stab at a resolution, if my colleagues don't mind. Resolution 56 of 2020, final minor subdivision, McGrath, 351 Concord Road. Final minor subdivision dated September 13th, 2018. Last revised January 29, 2020. Prepared by Catania Consultant Engineers. 2.32 acre property in the R2 district, all is recited by Jamer. And we have all that. The conditions are as follows. Number one, compliance with all comments contained in the Pannoni Review Letter dated September 11th, 2020. These are all attached as exhibits. Number two, compliance with comments contained in the Delaware County Planning Commission letter dated August 20th, 2020. Number three, compliance with all comments contained in the SEO, Sewage Enforcement Officer's email dated October 26, 2020. Number four, compliance with all comments contained in the Fire Marshal email dated August 11th, 2020. Number five, signed, sealed surveyor certification of placements of monuments and pins must be filed with the township prior to the release of the signed plans. Number six, compliance with all comments contained in the Concord Township Planning Commission memorandum dated October 22nd, 2020. Number seven, compliance with all conditions and comments contained in the Buckeye Partners LP letter dated January 18th, 2019, prior to the release of the signed plans. Number eight, the deeds for both lots 1 and lot 2 shall indicate that further subdivision is prohibited. Number nine, plans are submitted in electronic format acceptable to Township Consulting Engineer. Number 10, copy of the recorded access agreement to be provided by the applicant prior to release of the signed plans. Number 11, all deeds for the properties, legal descriptions, easements, driveway maintenance agreement, and stormwater maintenance agreements are to be submitted for review and approval by the township engineer and the township solicitor prior to release of the plan. Granting of the following two waivers. Number one, 16041B to allow the continued use of an existing non-conforming driveway to serve more than two single-family dwellings. And number two, 16041B to allow a shared driveway with a width of less than 16 feet, the same configuration as the driveway as of November 2nd, 2020. Do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Conditions acceptable to the applicant? Okay, good luck with your project. Thank you. Next is resolution number 57. Amanda, I think you had some background on this. I think we also had some comments earlier.
Yeah, sure. So as Rabbi Yudi Gerber, I'm saying that correct, right, enthusiastically reached out to me. And they are looking to put a menorah in front of the township building, as this is a government building and this is something that we haven't really done in the past. Obviously, it needs to go to council for discussion. In speaking with the solicitor, he provided you all something to take a look at and to consider or to think about. And I don't know if you want to have Tyler lead in for you sort of what's in there for your discussion purposes or how you want to handle.
I was going to ask my colleagues, do we just read this in, ask for a motion and a second to begin discussion? Or does Tyler want to give us a Cliff Notes version, or how should we, what's the flavor of the board here?
I think the Cliff Notes version would be good.
Okay,
This is
and then a motion and a second and begin discussion. That sounds good.
a new
Okay.
policy, which I think requires some additional consideration before we take an action on it. So
Okay.
Be my recommendation.
All right, go ahead, Tyler, what do you got?
Notes version is that this resolution would allow for two areas in the township for religious displays to be put up by the,
Microphone.
excuse
You
me,
have to be in front of it.
by the public. That's pretty much it. It's pretty
Well,
straightforward.
maybe I ought to read it, and then we can,
I'd be-
I think we ought to have a motion and a second, and then discuss it. And if it's the inclination of council to approve it, so be it. If it's the inclination of council to deny it, so be it. But it's a resolution of the Township of Concord adopting regulations regarding the use of township property by private citizens and the installation of religious, political, or other displays on township-owned properties. Whereas the First Amendment of the United States Constitution prohibits governments from making a law respecting an establishment of religion, in parens the Establishment Clause, while guaranteeing to all citizens the freedoms of speech, religion, and assembly. And whereas the township has and shall continue to allow its citizens to use township-owned properties for the purpose of exercising their First Amendment rights. Such uses that have occurred on township-owned properties have included Independence Day parades and concerts, movie showings, religious gatherings, political protests, and the like. Whereas some of the traditional uses that have occurred on township-owned properties have involved the installation of displays, such as an Independence Day parade review stand and a menorah. Whereas, while such displays are permitted, if such displays are allowed to remain on township property unattended, then displays could interfere with the township ability to maintain its property, cause damage to grass and other plantings, and interfere with the other uses on such property, such as recreational activities, pedestrian and/or vehicular traffic. Further, absent adoption of a clear regulations regarding private citizens' rights to assemble and display articles on township property, the township could face uncertainty as to when such displays could be removed. The potential for unsightly displays due to prolonged exposure to the elements, wear and tear, and potential claims for damage to property if the township staffs were to remove such displays. Finally, if the township allows private citizens to install religious displays on township property indefinitely and unattended, such religious display, standing alone, could be perceived as an endorsement of that particular religion by the township, which endorsement is prohibited by the Establishment Clause. Now, therefore, the township hereby adopts the following reasonable, content-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions regarding the installation of displays, whether political, religious, or other, on township properties. Number one, the foregoing recitals are hereby approved and incorporated herein by reference as those set forth herein in full. Number two, these regulations shall permit the installation of displays on the following township-owned outdoor properties: the Smithbridge Community Park Pavilion and adjacent parcel and the front lawn of the Township Community Center building, herein referred to as township properties. Number three, private citizens are welcome and invited to exercise their First Amendment rights of free speech, religious expressions, and assembly on township properties for such purposes, without limitations, as political campaigning, prayer meetings, holiday festivities, distributing pamphlets, and the like. 4, to avoid overcrowding and public disorder, groups of 10 or more private citizens who wish to assemble on township properties must apply in writing for a permit from the township manager at least 5 calendar days in advance of the intended gathering date to reserve such township properties for such assembly or display. The applicant shall disclose in writing the proposed location, date, and duration of such assembly. Permits will limit the displays to 10 consecutive days. In the event of multiple applications for the same time and location, preference shall be given to any person or group who or which has held assembly at such location in the prior year. And the township staff shall provide such applicants with an alternative location or a time for their assembly or display. Number 5, private citizens are welcome to erect displays of, including without limitation, religious articles, flags, political signs and banners, and the like, so long as such persons are present at the assembly or display on township properties. At the conclusion of such assembly, the persons who erected such displays shall remove the displays in their entirety. For assemblies that may extend beyond one day, items and displays relating to such assemblies shall be removed at the end of each day. If the displays are not removed at the conclusion of the assembly, the township staff shall remove such displays and dispose of them as the township may determine in its sole discretion. Number 7, the township reserves the right to limit the duration of such assemblies if the township reasonably believes that the assembly could interfere with the township's ability to maintain its properties, cause damage to grass and other plantings, interfere with other uses on such property, such as recreational activities, pedestrian and/or vehicular traffic, or any other compelling public interest. Number 8, these regulations shall become effective immediately upon the adoption by Township Council. Number 9, all assemblies or gatherings occurring on township properties shall be conducted in compliance with all applicable laws and ordinances of the United States, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Township of Concord, and nothing contained in here shall be construed as a waiver or repeal of any township ordinance. Number 10, the township reserves the right to impose additional restrictions to displays on township properties in the event that township officials reasonably determine that any assembly or display poses a threat to public safety or damage or injuries to persons or property. I think we ought to, I would kindly request we have a motion and a second, and then we can begin the debate on this. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right, any questions, observations? John, you had some issues or questions, rather?
Right, I'm not on there, I'm on. I appreciate the rabbis coming to us and raising his request. I think it certainly raises a number of questions for us and issues. I don't believe we've had requests for the erection of displays on township property. Obviously we have the use of the township property, facilities, things like that, folks who use fields and courts and pavilions and so forth, and we have rules and regulations set out around the use and assembly of those. But with regard to erection of displays, I believe this is new territory for us, and certainly goes beyond just the specific request that we have before that was brought up tonight regarding the menorah. And so and I appreciate the solicitors putting this resolution together for our consideration. But given that this is new territory for us that we don't have, that we have not charted before, I believe this needs further consideration and review since we just received this. And so I would like to propose that we take the request and this resolution into consideration and for a future meeting, given the broader implication here.
Any other comments? Procedurally, the thing to do would be to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 57 of 2020, say aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Okay, looks like we got 5-2. Okay, so the resolution passes. Okay. Next is 322 Plaza Associates Rizzo. Discussion on the resolution 53 of 2020. I see my old friend Adam McMilowski back there. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, Alan, how you been? I haven't seen you in person in a while.
Yes, I know. Seen you on a computer
Zoom call. Yeah.
What's before you is a resolution very similar to one you passed a month ago, but there were a couple of conditions that were of concern to us, and conditions number 7 and number 9 have been we raised objection to, and condition number 7 has been changed, and we're comfortable with that. Now basically puts the developer on notice that he's at his own risk with respect to an issue which we believe is not an issue, which is a real estate easement of record. But with respect to condition number 9, which requires some prior approvals of materials and elevations and the sort, We do have some concerns with respect to that condition. As this board may know, my client had gone before the zoning board and tried to get some relief in order to develop this property in accordance with the Concordville Village overlay requirements, and the township proposed that and not given that. This building is entirely not visible from any of the surrounding streets. And one of the reasons that we asked for variances was to make it visible streets, but that was denied. And so my concern is that imposition of carte blanche ability to pick the materials and such. Doing the best I can. Thanks. I'm very sorry. I worry about driving the cost of this up dramatically. What we would ask, we submitted these to Hugh's office today, and just very quickly, but the idea is the elevations would look something like this. These kind of colors and materials would be stucco and metal. And basically, I was wondering if the board would consider adding at the end of number 7, or number 9, I'm sorry, such elevations and materials to be substantially in accordance with the drawings and notes attached here to as Exhibit G.
I guess my only concern with that, and I was here, I guess maybe Colleen might have been here too, when we did the Concord Village Overlay District. And at the last paragraph, in fact, I wrote it down, and I forgot to take it with me, but when I was home tonight, I think the last section of that ordinance, I think it might be 275F or something, it lists items A through E that are required to be reviewed regarding the buildings in the Concord Village Overlay District. And part of it is the elevations, the heights, the colors, the materials, and so on and so forth. Personally, I was also here when Sunny's Credit Union came in, and also Children's Hospital, and they were able to live by those standards, and their plans were reviewed based on those criteria with Mr. Comita's help. I personally don't know why we would give that up when we had 2 previous applicants perform that scope of work. And additionally, and I would defer to Tyler on this, since that is in the zoning district, I don't think we could grant relief on that anyway. You'd probably have to go to the zoning board.
Well, understood, but it requires prior approval, and what we're asking is that you, in essence, give a bit of prior approval by indicating that you'd be comfortable with
I shared my
elevation.
comments. I think, Mr. Crossan, you might have some things to add.
Yeah, I mean, this references the demolition permit, which was approved specifically with this language in it. And so this language doesn't stand apart from, on its own in this resolution. It's actually part of the demolition permit.
Right, well, there's a separate condition in the resolution, which we'd certainly agree with. It requires, the documenting of the historic structure taken down, et cetera. And we're not questioning that we need to comply with that.
No, correct. But the approval of the demolition permit specifically included as a condition that the building that would come would reference architecturally the historic structure. And so we already have an approved demo permit that requires this language to be in here, which is also consistent with the historic overlay district.
Understood. You have our request.
Okay. As far as item 7, Tyler, I think there's been some conversation between either you and or Yui with Mr. Midlowski regarding that comment 7. Maybe we should handle these one at a time. Has there been a resolution to that? Is there a document we would need to approve? If we did so, choose to either delete or amend item 7?
We have amended item 7, and I believe it's been approved or
it's acceptable
by the applicant.
Do we have that? Because I don't.
I think it's in your draft resolution. The new language.
No, I don't have that in my package. I apologize. I think I picked mine up earlier today.
There was drafts in the mail bins.
Okay, all right, well.
Came late.
Okay. Can I have a second here to look at this? Looks like items 1 through 6 are the same. Item number 7 is revised. And looks like number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14 are the same. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, what's everyone's feeling? Do we, on number 7? if the
I
solicitor-
move that we approve this resolution as drafted.
Number, the new resolution, this would be number 58,
Correct.
right, Amanda? Tyler, we're going to do a whole new resolution, right?
Yes.
So it'd be number 58, we just did 57. And it will replace, should that be recited, someone here that is replacing resolution number 55? No, was it 53?
Last month.
So I think what it would be a resolution number 58, to revise the final subdivision and land development approval for 322 Plaza Associates. The recital would be the same, except I think it should reference that it was previously approved on the date as per number 53 of 2020. I'd like to note that conditions 1 through 6 are the same as the resolution 53. Condition 7 is revised to read, "It is understood that the applicant proceeds at its own risk regarding any issues and or disputes involving applicant and the adjoining landowners pertaining to the right of the applicant to utilize the 30-foot wide easement." Number 8 would remain the same. This is written that number 9 would remain unchanged. Number 10, 11, 12, and 13 would remain unchanged. I guess I would need a motion to approve resolution number 58.
I have a question.
Yes.
On comment number 9, applicants shall submit color architectural elevations and color board materials for review by and approval by council at the time of final plan submission. The attached sketches, the two-sided sketch, is that your intent that these are color board materials, or are you going to give us
No, they would be more, obviously more formal.
more information, more detail?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Indicate materials.
had we given some relief on number 9, this would be the starting point, but right now the starting point is the ordinance.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 58 of 2020? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Right, thank you.
no problem. Oh, here. I just flipped it. Yeah, go, you can have it. All right, John, do we have number 5? John, do you have the award?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. One time I
Township received bids for the Public Works Maintenance Contract. We have a bid tab and award recommendation from our township engineer. And they're recommending that more construction services of Glen Mills be awarded the contract in the amount of $408,425. And again, this is a unit price contract based on the need that the township would have over the period of 1 year. So
Okay.
I make that in the form of a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Cheney Road safety improvements. Nate, do you have something on that?
I don't have a document, I just have a brief discussion. We've received multiple complaints from Representative Breuer's office as well through the township office regarding speeding, traffic, just general, the standard traffic type concerns on Cheney Road from Concord to Baltimore Pike. PennDOT has indicated they would let us upgrade the speed limit signs to larger signage. They've also indicated they would let us put a flashing curve ahead signage where deemed appropriate. So my question tonight is that something council would like me to explore further? I can work with Dan and we can provide a cost for signage upgrades as well as what a flashing signal for a curve ahead, what that would cost. And then I can have that for the December meeting and we can move forward from there. So that's the question in front of council tonight.
Okay. What's everyone's thoughts on that? Anybody?
Is there proof that these signs slow down the people from driving as fast as?
I think that's a
That's
fair
it, or-
question, Dana. Initially, obviously they do. New drivers, people in the area for the first time, they do. When you drive that every day, you get a little bit of fatigue from seeing that sign every day. But again, there's only so many tools in the toolbox on those kind of issues. We've lost a couple vehicles off the guide rail and off that curve as of late, and that's what prompted these concerns to Representative Brewer's office. We try to work tightly with Representative Brewer's office on these types of complaints. We've had extensive outreach with PennDOT. PennDOT will be paving Cheney Road next year. That is on their list, assuming their budget doesn't get cut. I think that will help things as well. But again, some signage upgrades and looking at a flashing signal there could be something, again, for these homeowners to say, we're trying to do what we can from a safety basis, but I do want to get you guys a number and a cost for that before we pull the trigger on that.
So all you need from us is pardon the pun, the green light to go ahead to develop a scope of work and budget numbers, and then we would have another crack at deciding whether we want to pursue any or all of it, right?
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve Nate to begin that study?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
John, you want to take care of number 7 and number 8, please?
Okay, we have a certificate for payment for the township landscape contract that we actually awarded last month's meeting. So it's been moving along very quickly. We have a certificate in the amount of $52,470, which is payable to KMC Property Maintenance of Glen Mills. That's in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And number 8, we have an escrow release. This is the final escrow closeout of 74 Temple Road, and that's in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we have 3 things to accept as complete for filing. One, we have a conditional use application from Concord Wings LLC, doing business as Hooters of Concord. They are applying for a conditional use permit to have more of a permanent outdoor dining area on their site. Per our ordinance, this requires a conditional use hearing, and I think we would need to start this application, we would need to accept this. I have one question, I guess, for Tyler, and I don't think it will interfere with us accepting this tonight, but it's my recollection if they decide to serve alcohol out here, they might need another conditional use to extend their liquor license.
Yes, I believe you're right, Dominic.
So I just want to caution that perhaps, I think we would accept this tonight, but it might behoove them to follow up with a separate application, and maybe we can run the 2 hearings concurrently, which we have done in the past, if that pleases the council. Okay, so I have a motion to accept this conditional use application.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is a conditional use application and final land development Chick-fil-A reconfigured drive-through for a second lane, 240 square foot addition. This has been around for a few years. I think they also have a hearing before the zoning they have a matter before the zoning hearing board scheduled. Tyler, I think that I understand we'll be getting a letter from council delaying any time clocks on us having this hearing until they get through the zoning board, correct?
That is correct, and my understanding is
Okay.
they're...
So do we have a motion to accept this application subject to that condition?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Last one we have is something we haven't done in a long time. We have a request from Michael Gnazio, representing William Penn Corp., doing business as Pennswood Winery. Per our home rule charter, we would like to they're requesting a landowner application for a zoning map ordinance amendment to provide for a zoning district or an amendment to define vineyard and winery. All we're doing tonight would be accepting this for filing. We will have to schedule a hearing on this. This is not granting a zoning change. This is just to get the ball rolling in order to conduct the hearings. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Other board matters. I noticed on the emergency declaration, we extended it to January 1st. However, we meet on the 4th. Should we revise that to expire on the 5th?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to have a motion to revise the emergency declaration instead of expiring on January 1st of 2020. It would expire on January 5th of 2020, the day after our January meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Upcoming township meetings and events are all listed. I think, Amanda, you have something you develop later today. You might want to just put on everyone's radar, but when it becomes official, we'll let them know.
Sure, is that with the property maintenance ordinance that you were expecting? I actually mentioned that in my manager's report, same thing. We're working on updating that ordinance. We did have a hearing. We need to have a continued hearing. We're hoping to do so at the end of November or early to mid-December, and I will have that advertised and out in a timely manner soon.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye, and thank you for coming out this evening. Colleen, welcome aboard. Glad to have you, and we will be surely putting you to work.